whānau, Tomo here, aka the Mod of the Bikes, and welcome back to the channel. It's 2023 and I'm reckon I'm overdue for another ride and guide video, so I figured I'd cover two of Arapuke's well-known tech trails, Rocky and Rambo. Both trails are really good introduction to the tech that's available at Arapuke. So like my other ride and guide videos that you can find on my channel, I plan to be discussing and covering a few of the main features and points that occur on both trails. I'm lucky enough to be joined by good friends Ben and Jordan, doing a little bit of the demonstration and saving my legs. Now any information about both trails, I'm going to leave a link in the comment section down below. We start at the hub point shown on the map here and we descend along Rocky until we end up along the halfway point going into Rambo. Now it needs to be said that you still can continue along Rocky if you wish. Together both trails don't take that long to do, especially if you're just going to do this particular combination. But without further ado, let's get into our very first trail, which is Rocky, starting at the entrance. So I'm starting a little bit back from the entry just so I can get a bit of a run up to hit this upslope because it can bop you offline. I then line myself up for the little small rollover and then I'm basically just hucking straight into the berm down below. So you don't actually need to huck into the bottom of the berm. I mean, it is a small drop, so you really can just roll both of them. It's more about lining things up. You can go left or right. I would go left just because the berm turns right and you want to set yourself up for that corner. From this kind of angle, you can kind of see how it's actually quite easy to navigate down. There's nothing overly dramatic about it. So out of the berm and we've got a little bit of a rollover and then we're going straight into a bit of a jump slash huck drop. And then it goes into a left-hand turn with two lines. So at the time of recording, we didn't actually realize there was an inside line, and it's actually not overly difficult. I don't think it's actually much faster either. The turn goes over a set of wooden palings and then drops down and goes to the right hand side. I guess the thing to be mindful of is the little jump drop coming in before this turn, and either line will get you down. From about here onwards for a couple of hundred meters, the trail is pretty tame, so there's only a few corners. It's pretty much flat and mellow. There's nothing going to catch you out. There is a small split in the trail where you can just carry on the main line, or you can decide to do a little bit of a jump off to the right hand side. It is leading us up towards that rocky upslope where we're definitely going to have a bit of a discussion around that. So I feel the need to remind everybody that I am not the end all to be all of knowledge on the bike or in terms of doing features. If you're someone who is a bit more savvy than me, please leave a comment down below so we all benefit from your knowledge. I'm also a firm believer in experience is the best teacher, and that in order to get better we actually have to go out there, get on the ground and expose ourselves to these features in order to get better. So whānau, here we are at what is pretty much, I suppose, the most technical feature on this part of Rocky. It catches a lot of people out and for good reasons. So we're actually going to have a bit of a discussion about appropriate line choice. I mean, when you're coming into it for the first time, there's a good chance that you're going to get stuck unless you've got really bougie tech skills. I'm going to have a word with the lads, get their thoughts on why they choose the line they do or their reasoning behind it, and maybe you guys can actually apply it in real time when you come through. My thoughts on it first off is that you're coming in, you do need a bit of speed.
Yeah, for sure. You need to come out of that berm with quite a bit of speed. Pedal as hard as you can, change up to a higher gear. As soon as you get to about this point here, when the rocks start, you want to be changing down to your lower gears. Maybe a couple more pedals. As long as you've maintained the speed, you should be able to hit either the right line or the left line.
So when you say a right line, what are we exactly referencing here?
Up this way. It's very tight, but it's doable. You just don't pedal here or else you'll strike.
For argument's sake, we'll just say that right through in between this large rock here and right here is the more chosen route going up towards the top. Yeah? Easier on the e-bike or no?
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah, just to get that speed down there.
And it seems to me like everyone gets sort of hung up in this spot. So you would have seen from the earlier demos from the bro Ben right here that he was getting a bit of pedal strike, and specifically about here, maybe in and around this area here. So I'm going to get his thoughts on his line choice since he's on a hardtail. Ben, what are your thoughts on it?
Do the same thing, get as much speed as I can, drop down all the gears, and I always pick the left line just because that's my known line choice. Yeah, low bottom bracket and hardtail front pedal strikes, and obviously I showed how that's done.
You made it in the end though.
Made it in the end, that's the one.
If you don't have the speed coming in, you're probably going to pay the penalty by having to do a foot dab, eh lads? Like yourself, I tend to just come right down through the central part here. Once you get up onto here though, it's pretty much all clear sailing before you want to head into Rambo, which is exactly where we're going to be heading next. Rambo. It's certainly one of those G5s that gives a lot of newer riders a lot of grief for their very first time. It's one of those ones where it's quite short, but it's very, very challenging. You don't have a lot of run up before you have to immediately contend with a very small drop, which leads down into a catch boom that goes to the left. You can see there's a bit of pedal strike on this rock here, so that indicates that people have tried to go over the top, and yeah, it could end in disaster if you're not careful. Now, my thoughts on dealing with this particular obstacle, or at least this first part of it, is simply just to go down the right hand side. Just seems to me like I'll end up in the catch boom a bit better because the corner is a bit more opened up going into that catch boom. Having said that, I'm sure a skilled rider could actually boost over the top of that entry and just go straight into the catch boom, no worries. Here it is, the one feature on Rambo that has caused many people lots of grief, including myself. My worst nightmare. One thing I've got to say about it, you've got to commit. It's all well and easy for me to say that, but honestly it's just really just picking a way down, sighting it, and really just believing that you're going to get down without any issues. I mean, yeah, if you're an experienced rider it's not going to be any problem, but for a new rider it would definitely help to have a walk and put some eyes on it beforehand. For me, I feel that what makes this so intimidating is the amount of jank and jaggedness that the rocks present, especially when it's wet. You can see here Jordan, he's just going over it no problems at all, and it doesn't look like much on camera, and that's always the problem, the camera just never truly shows you what it's like in person. You have to go there to scope it out and actually get eyes on this thing to understand what you're up for. Now I will say this much, once you nail this feature off, you're going to be buzzing. It's actually kind of a big deal, especially if you're a newer rider. So yeah, go out, have a look at it and see what you think. Let me know down in the comments if you actually managed to do it. I'd love to hear that.
Wait a minute.
If you haven't already, consider subscribing so you can check out all the other videos that I'm making. Maybe chuck a like on those ones, you know, chuck a bit of a share, hit the bell for the notifications so you can stay tuned to any videos I make in the future. Sure, so you've got the big rock roll out the way, and now we've only got like less than 100 meters worth of trail to finish off with. You've got a bit of a roll going down over a drop into another catch boom that goes into a bit of an S-bend. Now, I guess the main one to watch out for is that it is a bit of a straight line of sight. You're going to pick up a little bit of speed getting in. You can see Jordan here just sort of boots over and hits the corner. Be mindful of going across that last part there because it can actually sort of kick you forward if you're not prepared for it. Once you get into the turns, however, it's pretty easy sailing and you're just basically going to head around the corners and down to the end. The right hand turn coming into this small downhill section is pretty sharp, so you just got to keep an eye out for that as you're going over the top of the small jump and heading down. Now at the bottom, just before you come up the other side of the hill, is a very, very small, tiny and hidden little gap jump, so you got to maybe pull up your wheel there a little bit just so you don't get a bit of a rim strike coming through. Given that it's summer, it's unsurprising that this area's got quite a bit of undergrowth all over it, so yeah, it definitely needs a bit of a trim back, which I'm sure it will do. And the next scene you'll see Jordan come bombing down this hill, and I'm actually going to try and freeze on the gap jump so you can actually identify it before you go down it. Okay, definitely not the best angle to be viewing it at, but I can assure you it's definitely there. So hey, if you're around in the area, go scope it out so that way you're going to avoid dinging a rim potentially.